Welcome, everyone. It's Transform Your Relationships Live. I'm Laura Rubinstein here with the amazing Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. Hi, Rhoberta.
Hi, Laura. This is an exciting new platform for us, and
It
we'd love to hear what you have to say about how we look on this new platform, and if you like it or not. It's an exciting time to start something new. Of course, it's a new year. Things have been happening. Things have been happening for you. We're going to talk about it today in a little bit of a new context.
and I can't believe it's already like the 21st day of January. It's like, wow, 1 month almost gone. And I wanted to, we were talking about taking breaths, and, every breath is kind of like a new moment, a new year, a new whatever. And today we thought we'd talk about claiming your power in that moment. Like, we don't have to give up on the year already.
Well, I think that we want to encourage all of us, including ourselves, to remember that you can start something fresh with the next breath. So if you're not doing what you said you were going to do, don't be down on yourself. Just simply turn around and face forward and say, I'll do it now, or I'll do it better now, or I don't like doing it at all and I didn't know that, so I'm never going to do it. But we have the opportunity of clarifying and redirecting ourselves moment to moment.
Yes, I think that is something that we forget, and we get into these old habits, habitual thinking even. It's like, oh, if you're like, I found myself getting a little bit sad. I was like, or depressed, and I'm like, why am I sad? It feels like very familiar, but okay, so what can I do in this next moment to bring myself out of this, or maybe to stay in it, but not like in it, but kind of observe it. What is this about? So I think using the power of our breath can help us. Like, if at least we take our attention over to our breath and become an observer, would be a really good idea instead of going into an old familiar habit or pattern.
Yeah, I agree. If everybody just started to rely on that possibility, life would change. Because we do have old habits. I'm just doing a new ebook and a video and things, and I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but something like the full catastrophe thinking, because we have patterns of thinking that our fears set up, like I will never be good enough, or I will not do this well enough, or nobody cares about me, and then we get into this other kind of thinking, which I call all or nothing thinking, which is, maybe your partner says to you, oh, I really don't like your dress. And because of your background, you immediately go to, he's going to leave me for somebody who dresses better.
Mm.
And there's no space in between. And sometimes we do that to ourselves. So, you miss a deadline, or you didn't go to the gym when you said you would. And you look back and you say, there we go, evidence that I'm not good enough. Instead of looking forward and saying, oh, well, I could go tomorrow, and I'll just replace that thought with the possibility.
Oh, yes. And sometimes going back to that breath is all we need to take that pause from going into that old thought about, oh, I'm not good enough, or he's going to leave me, or this is going to go that way again. So let's just do that. Let's just take a slow, conscious breath in and get into
Mm-hmm.
that moment. It's just so delicious, It's like,
Well, I think a deep breath, and I've said this for so many years, is the least expensive, most expansive vacation you can have, right? Because it just allows you to reset. It
I,
allows you to get your shoulders down from your earlobes and
mhm.
recognize that they were up there and you didn't notice, and the day had been dragging you down, and you then tense up. And what a wonderful thing just to learn to very frequently take a deep breath.
Yeah. So if you're ready to let go of some thought pattern, feel free to let us know here. If you want to transform a energy that you're feeling, this is your golden ticket. And I love how you said that. It's your least expensive, most expansive vacation, or at least separation from where you are to reset yourself into a new possibility. And that's the benefit of being at the new year, is like we feel we can tap into that possibility. Something good has got to happen. It's the beginning of the year, right? Let's tap into that.
Right. And we like that feeling. You know, it's like back to school. New Year is a fresh start. Back to school is all new things to write in. People like that because it makes us feel filled with possibilities. But every single day is filled with possibilities. I had someone say to me last night, "Well, you just keep inventing things and doing things and all of that. What's up with that? How do you keep doing that?" And I had that opportunity to say, well, it's constantly just staying in the realm of possibility. Like, what might this be good? What could I leverage this with? How could I do that a little bit better? Am I liking this, or would I like to do something different? Not getting locked in. In our last show, we talked about lower your expectations without lowering your standards. Well, lowering your expectations, for some people, as soon as you say that, they go, well, that's not good. But it's wise.
Very.
Sometimes when we were very young, the only way that we would get validation is by showing up and making somebody else look good, in the case of having a hijackal parent, or showing up and getting praise from someone for doing what they want their way. And then we get into a hypervigilance state that says, well, unless I'm performing all the time, unless people are telling me that I'm doing well, I'm not doing enough. And if we take some time to have a look at that, that'll also help us get our shoulders down from our earlobes.
It's simply not true. Who are you buying into? Whose voice are you listening to in your head or even out there, right? It's
Who's
like,
driving your bus?
to say that again?
Who's driving your bus?
Yes. Who's driving your bus and who's driving your buzz? But it's really interesting. And when we take that breath in, when we take that moment, we can stop and say, oh, wait a minute. I am at the effect of something that I didn't want to be at the effect of. Somebody
Mm.
else's voice in my head, but I can do a little test. I like to have people do a little test and just ask a simple question: is this the truth? Whose truth is
Well, yes, the
it?
truth
Right?
for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the truth for you. Is this the really true? Is it going on for who is this true for? Is this my truth or somebody else's truth? I like that. Yeah.
Yes, and that, when Charles and I wrote Soul Solitude, taking time for our souls to catch up, we talked about two big predicaments. Of course, there are way more than two, but we talked about two, and one of them is to get out of the predicament of living up to the expectations of other people. And
Yes.
if we just take some breaths and recognize, who am I actually trying to please here? Who have I taken on the expectations of and am still endeavoring to do it? And that person, sometimes when you figure that out, they're long gone from your life.
Mhm.
But you're still doing it their way, or they're still sitting on your internal shoulder going, you should be doing this. So it's a question of consciousness, isn't it?
It is, and that's the power of the breath again, bringing more consciousness to ourselves. I know it sounds kind of like we've been saying this over and over again, and we have, but for me, I need the reminders. I don't know about you, but it helps in any circumstance. If you don't know what to do, take a deep breath. Really,
Yes.
really. And then call Dr. Roberta or call me. If you need some extra support, we're here for you for sure. But that you're never alone, and you always have a possibility. You may not be able to see it, but the power of your breath, tuning into some of our other shows, and just your best thinking got you here. You may need to put some other thoughts in there to help you
Yeah, exactly. And when you know better, you do better. And
out. Right.
I think that that's something that we we can all hold on to. It's not wrong that what we're doing. It's just we may have changed. We may have broadened our horizons. We may not have re-examined the way that we've been doing things. Sometimes don't we all feel good when we tidy our office or our bedroom or a closet or something, say,
Hmm.
oh, that feels good. Well, sometimes we have to tidy out the closets of our minds and our feelings and our habits as well. And that also feels good. Now, maybe a bit of a wrench because doing it differently is like, oh, I forgot, or this is not so easy. But there's joy in it. And it's worth moving toward the possibility of that joy. And for this month, when, as they say, health clubs want all your money at the beginning of January because they know you're not going to be there in February. So let's not operate our lives on the health club model, and let's find a way to keep ourselves conscious and not over expect of ourselves. I
Right.
just throw this in here, Laura, because it's a conversation I've been having, and one of the things that I watch out for on Facebook and in marketing in general is this idea that people throw out all the time that there's something wrong with you, that you're broken in some way, and that you absolutely need whatever product they're selling. I even got a Facebook Messenger ad that suggested that, because you don't have this many people doing this much for this much money, you need my program. And I wrote back and said, oh, do you know me? Like, they're just putting it out there that there's something wrong with you, you're not doing enough, you're broken, watch, don't buy into that.
Yeah.
Don't buy into that,
In fact,
because
rebel against it. Don't buy anything from those people.
well, I would agree, because I don't care for that marketing strategy. But don't assume yourself that you're broken doing things wrong. Think about, I'm fine, and what would I like to do better? And so when we come from that place of enough, instead of from scarcity, which those marketers are counting on you, and you say, no, things are going pretty well, but I need this, let me go and look for that. Don't wait for somebody to inbound market you and say, you need this. No, that's not what I'm looking for. And you'll be very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
was talking with a client the other day, and she's quite wealthy, and I said to her, have you found that by leading with telling people that you're wealthy, that everybody wants to sell you something and guarantee that you're going to make a whole lot of money? And she said, oh, so many times. I said, and did you make a whole lot of money? She said, no. I said, did they? Yeah.
Yes, and that brings me to an experience I had at an event where there was this person selling from stage their big part program, and she was saying that, don't let fear of spending this money or fear of
Right.
success or fear of failure make you a failure. Like, this is your opportunity to bust through your fear, and if you don't do it now, you're going to fail. And so at a break, I was talking to somebody, and she's like, well, I really think I should do it. I don't want to be a failure. I have this fear of failure, and if I don't do it, I'm never ever going to make it, right? Because that's what she was saying from stage. And I was like, but I said, I sense some hesitancy. She goes, yeah, well, finances, blah, blah, blah. She had like two or three reasons. And I'm like, well, you know what Oprah says? And she goes, what? I said, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And so she was hypnotized, right? I just popped that hypnosis for her, because in that moment, she took, like, her shoulders went down, like she was all tense.
Yeah.
And then she goes, oh,
Because she only thought she had one choice, and that's the whole idea. Like, there is only one path for you, and I have that path for you. And if you don't take that path, you're quitting on yourself. Let me enroll you in what I have to do. And like you say, you get hypnotized, and that's not good. I mean,
right.
you won't feel good after you make that purchase.
Yeah, you don't
you
wanna
know?
make a purchase from that state of fear and anxiety, and again, I think it was wise advice that I got, and so does Donna here, thanks, Donna, for being here, by the way, and, it's like, trust yourself and
Yeah.
give yourself the time, don't pressure yourself into these decisions, and it could be a business decision, it could be a training decision. Yes, you may wanna invest in yourself, but invest wisely where you know from your past what works for you. Like I know I've bought like all kinds of training programs in the past. And how many did I actually go take to heart and go through step by step by step?
Well, isn't that the New Year's resolution trick? Like, I'll go on Udemy and I'll buy all these programs that are on sale for $9.99, and I'll have the greatest of intentions and they'll change my business and everything. And now you look on the 21st of January, how many hours have you spent actually looking at those things? And that's just something for us to learn about ourselves.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need to buy what you need when you need it, not when someone wants to sell it to you.
Yeah, that I hope is getting a lot of hearts on that this one. So that's a good quotable. I love it. Yeah, and hopefully we're saying something you maybe have never heard before because being a marketer, I would like tell people to do that, but I can't in good faith. I have to just say, what is the need out there and go talk to that need, but don't manipulate them,
Yeah,
just
and if anybody's planning to engage me in buying something, don't do it on Facebook Messenger because that just annoys me. Do not do that. I know there's a whole new trend that get your people in a list and use it like email marketing, but don't do that. That's not what I want in Facebook Messenger. So back off anybody who's thinking about doing that.
well, most of those are supposed to be very clear that you've opted into a messenger sequence. And some of them, some people who are using them right, are doing some high education. They're announcing when they're going live and they're giving trainings for free, or
That's different.
but like, especially on LinkedIn, I've noticed a lot of people send, they connect with you and then the next message is, check out this thing that I want you to
Bye.
work with me or buy on, that you could benefit from. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
let's not have a relationship. Let me just sell
yeah,
you something.
yeah. And then the other day I got an interesting. There, people are trying. I get it. You're trying, and somebody sent me a link of 4 different links to 4 different articles on my area of marketing, and I'm like, well, they're all from this one blog, which had nothing to do with this guy. I go, are you associated with this blog? He goes, no. I'm like, okay, so there was a little disconnect for me. And you sent me 4 links and we didn't even have a relationship yet. So why 4 links? Maybe one would be good to start with. Don't overwhelm me with 4, but it was nice. It was kind of a nice gesture. But he is taking it to the next step. So I always say in marketing, and when you're meeting people, don't be weird. So what is weird? It's like asking for too much when you don't know somebody. It's like asking to kiss them on you know, the minute you meet them. It's like, or ask them to marry you on the first date kind of thing. Granted, it happens every once in a while, but
Yeah, those are usually hijackals, by the way.
right? Stay away.
Yeah,
Stay
they
very
wanna
far
close the sale as quickly as possible so they can behave any old way they want after you've said yes.
away. Right.
Topic for another day, but just watch for that. There are hijackal marketers too.
Hijackal marketers. Oh boy, that might be our next topic we have to talk about because we're kind of leaning into that today. I love it. And so rich, rich, rich stuff here.
Let's go back and talk about personal life because I think there's an area we didn't bring into this, and I just like to highlight it because we talk about relationships here. And because I'm writing this new program and this new ebook and everything, I'm very conscious of this that when when something goes sideways in your relationship, see it as an opportunity to deepen the conversation as opposed to something that's going to end the relationship.
Mm,
So, in the same way that you may be having a conversation with yourself, well, I really haven't done anything for 3 weeks on that goal. I'm a total failure. And, maybe next year. No, in our relationships, something that goes a bit sideways in a healthy relationship is an opportunity to lean in and become more curious about each other and solve something and learn something and see where that goes. And for many of us, that puts you into fear, and so you don't want to see where it goes because it may not go somewhere good, and you've already decided it's probably going to be bad. So you close that because it seems like a can of worms. Well, for every can of worms that you have, you need a can opener and you need to empty the can. So if you can just see it as possibility for engaging in something and learning more about each other and getting feedback and solving something, and start with small things, that's kind of the same thinking that goes with, I broke my diet on Tuesday, so I'll have to start again next Monday. No, you can start with the next thing you put in your mouth, and what that creates is a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. And you don't have to do that. You can be hopeful in the next minute and with the next breath, which is why our topic today. When you claim your power with your next breath, you say, oh, got a little off track, gonna breathe and redirect.
Right. And take it on in the next moment, not like in 2 days. It's
Or
not
2 weeks
you
or
have
2
right
years.
now. Like, oh my gosh, I can take something out of my mouth if I realize I'm eating something I don't want to be eating. Or I can go exercise right this minute if I, well, maybe right after we do this, if I could do 10 jumping jacks, right after our call today, or sit ups or squats or whatever it is. In fact, there is a new trend, by the way. I don't know if you've heard about it, but like these 1 minute sprints or 1 minute like exercise moments throughout your day. If you do 10 of those, or if you do three minutes, you've done 10 minutes of exercise in your day, and it's better than nothing. And get your heart rate up a little bit. And you're not breaking a full sweat, but at least you've got your heart moving and your body moving. And I'm really talking to myself here, but it's very helpful. I've started doing things like that. Even while I'm waiting for the water to boil for tea, I'll do some squats or some lunges or jumping jacks or
Yeah,
stretches. Yeah, why
yeah.
not? Brushing your teeth, you know, when the commercial's on, whatever it is.
Yeah,
So,
that used to be my thing, is I would do exercise when the commercials were on. Well, now I don't have cable television, so now what I have to do is I get this handy dandy app that allows
oh,
me to set it, so I learned that I work best in 45-minute increments.
okay.
I can stay completely focused for 45 minutes, but having that app, I know it's going to take care of me. For I can just relax into the task, and at 45 minutes I can get up, and that's my cue to get up, walk around, do a little exercise,
Woohoo.
move my
Love it.
body. Yeah, and that's really good for me. That
Mhm.
works well, right? So everybody can do something like that. I mean, the
In
little
any moment you choose. So it's just I like to call it in hypnosis I call it a mental muscle. Like, okay, you have muscles here, but you also have muscles here that if you practice them, they're a little rusty at first. They feel a little creaky or awkward. But if you do it enough times, like you've got your app to help you build that muscle of taking a break every 45 minutes. If you start, either during a commercial or during brushing teeth or while you're waiting for tea to boil or whatever, 45 minutes. And what app is that?
it's called Be Focused.
Be focused. We like that. Cool. I love it. And you mentioned something I wanted to go back to. I'm putting that in the chat for everyone. But you mentioned about having a relationship with yourself, right? And you also talk about deepening relationship with others by being curious. I'm also thinking it's really great to get curious with yourself to deepen your own relationship. So you have this habit maybe of saying, oh gosh, I went off my exercise program. I'll exercise Monday instead of Friday. It's Friday, but I'll go back on this Monday. Well, get curious about it instead of making a plan to do it in the future. What about, like, why did this happen? Or I wonder, what I love the I wonder what's going on here. I wonder what's happening. Where did this thought come from? Just staying in the curious mode and just being
Mhm.
a open vessel for ideas to flow in about yourself versus being scared about it or thinking you're not good enough or whatever. But if we get curious and say, what is this about? Do I need more water? Do I need more hugs to feel good about myself? Do I need a buddy? Do I need to just say some good things about myself? Maybe I don't need a gym. Maybe I need to get out in nature or buy a bicycle or rent a bicycle or go walking here in the neighborhood. But I think this is the most important relationship we have, is the one we have with ourselves. And the way we cut it off is we judge ourselves, but the way we deepen it is to get curious about ourselves.
Right, absolutely. And I just put in the chat, this new system, I don't know how quickly it picks up what's in the chat, but I
You're putting
just
it in
I
the
put it in the
private
private
comments.
chat because the live comments didn't have a box.
Oh, you should have a box. Okay.
I didn't have a box. There you go. There it is.
I totally
Uh,
know. I put it right back in the same place. Let me put it in the other place. There we go. Knowing yourself requires spending time with yourself. What a concept.
yeah, so that's one of the things we've spoken about before, and you can certainly go back and listen to other things. But sometimes we're kind of reluctant to spend time by ourselves because we're kind of afraid to find out who's in there. And the only way that you will really get to know yourself, really be able to make significant changes, is when you find yourself friendly and you will sit and spend time by yourself. Like, how am I feeling? Like Laura
Mm,
said earlier, how am I thinking about this? Is this the only way to think about this? Where did I get this thought? Who put this in my mind? How long have I been running with it? Is it working for me? Would I like to choose something different? And when we just spend a little time with ourselves, start with 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, but just inquire into yourself, because you may be not having the life that you choose. You may be having the life that you have adopted, adapted, or inherited. And you have the opportunity in this moment to choose again. Like, I had someone say to me the other day, I had interviewed this person, and then they asked and sent a little note and said, I really need to chat with you. And I said, okay. So we had a chat. And she said, you've done so many things in your life, and I am like the straight line. I did all of this. I mean, she's a very, very well educated woman. And I can't imagine giving this up in order to go in another direction. And I said to her, you don't ever give up anything. You take it with you. If you have all this skill in one area, but all of a sudden this piques your interest, see how you can take what all this is and take it over there with you and say, oh, look at that. I broadened the whole thing, or I brought my special twist on this. And that's very exciting. So you don't have to think, I'm in this career, or I'm in this relationship, or I am this way, and I have to stay this way. It could be, what might I like to change?
yeah. And take that breath and see what happens. You know,
Yes, for sure.
the pressure off. I really think we need to just take the pressure off and see what's good. I like your question for what might this be good? For what might this be good? And then settle into that and
Let me
just
say something about that, my question thing. I've invited people to ask that question for years and years. When something happens, if you can catch yourself before you go down the ain't it awful they did me wrong trail, if you can just make the little mental habit of turning it around and going, oh, for what might this be good? You change so much. You reduce what your body has to go through. You reduce the self-talk that may be negative, and you can just catch yourself. So your bank account is not looking the way you want it to. For what might this be good? Maybe this would stimulate me to think about something in a different way. Maybe I am on the wrong path. Maybe you don't feel well one day. For what might this be good? Maybe I need some reflective time. I just did a podcast with a medical doctor, and her name is Elizabeth Hughes, and it's on the Emotional Savvy Show. You can go to emotionalsavvy.com. And she was talking about the importance, because she's broadened her horizons. She's a dermatologist. She's broadened her horizons to include yoga and Ayurveda and energy medicine and all sorts of things. And so, to be able to expand, and her thing is listen to your body. Listen to it. So you wake up, you don't feel well, and you say, for what might this be good? What's going on in here? What's my body endeavoring to tell me? Do I need to slow down? Do I need not to do what I did yesterday? What is this about? And when we slow down in that way and listen to our body will give us information.
Yep. Wow. I love that idea. And it's interesting, a dermatologist turning to yoga and other meditative practices, a lot of the skin issues we have are related to our emotions. As a hypnotherapist, we see that psoriasis and eczema a lot of times calm down when we do hypnosis, when we address the
Right.
stresses in life. So I'm not really surprised about that, but I want to just repeat the emotionalsavvy.com. Is that where they can find the podcast?
Yes, and thank you, because I can't put anything in the live comments. So,
And we
um,
also have the reflection tools of the feminine power cards that, if you're going to sit with yourself, but you don't know what to ask yourself, you don't know where to take your mind, that could be a different space of curiosity. The feminine power cards are a great little tool to sit with, and there's contemplations in there, and they look like this, and you can certainly go there as well.
Right. So there's lots of support for you. And between Laura and I, we have lots of support for you, because I have 2 podcasts and a big YouTube channel for relationship help, FOR relationship help. So there's lots of free resource. And that's the legacy that people like Laura and I create, and other wonderful experts create, where they're not sending you a message and say, in order for me to share my secrets with you, it'll only cost you your firstborn. It's really, um, things are there for you. So be sure to find the people who will allow you to tap into that. And then, of course, you may end up working with them because it appeals to you and you have already learned something because of what they offered to you.
Yes. And I wanted to say about the free resources, with not just the cards. Every Friday, I do a live stream. You can find it at Feminine Power Cards on Facebook. And we go through all of these cards, and they'll give you great things to think about. We go through a card a show, not all. So right now, there's probably 20 or 30 shows up there that you can watch for free. And we are putting them on YouTube, but I will announce that next time.
Great. Well, as you can see, again, we're offering you some very practical tips and tools that can allow you to have the life you most want. And I think, how long history has been, and it was told to us in the very early days by one of the great philosophers that an unexamined life is not worth living. And that may be a bit extreme
Mhm.
in his wording, but an examined life allows you to optimize and your choices, and to make your life, not a copy of somebody else's, not living up to someone else's expectations, but your unique creation. And you do have that opportunity.
Yeah, with your next breath, with your next possibility, with something from within. It's all here for us. And I love that we're encouraging people to step out into being freely who you are, to bring the best of you out. So, with that, having a magical day. Take some deep breaths. Let's let our shoulders down and see what we can. And I love what you said about optimizing. I know for a long time you called your business Optimize Life Now and Optimize Center. So that's really what we're all about, is how can you optimize your relationships, the relationship you have with yourself, and what you create in your life. So we're here for you. Transformingrelationship.com, is that it?
That's it.
And
Right there.
femininepowercards.com, or Transform Today is my website as well. We will see you next time in a couple weeks.
Be
Bye
good to
for,
yourselves.
yeah, be good. Bye.